We have a slight rain here live at Gardner-Dow Field. Good afternoon, soccer fans, and welcome to another UConn Husky soccer season. I'm Mark Boudreau along with Darak today as we're going to introduce you to action here to start the 1981 soccer season as the Billikens of St. Louis take on the Huskies of the University of Connecticut. I'd like to tell you right now that UConn Husky soccer action here on the Sound Alternative is made possible in part through generous underwriting grants from the following local establishments: Subway footlong sandwiches, Holiday Spirits, University Pizza, Ninth Trow Incorporated, Family Fashion Center, and the UConn Friends of Soccer. Well, it's a slight mist. It's overcast, and it just started raining about 10 minutes ago as both teams warm up. UConn will be in the white today, the Billikens of St. Louis in the blue. Here to give you a little information on the UConn Huskies, here's my broadcast partner, Darak.
Oh, thank you very much, Mark Boudreau. The Huskies coming off probably one of their finest seasons in the history of the university and the 50-year history of the soccer program. The Huskies last year finished 5th in the nation with a final record of 21 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie. They were also first in New England. Last year, when the Huskies played this same St. Louis team, they beat them by the score of 2-0 on goals by Pedro Brito and John Novojaski. That was also Tony Pierce's first varsity start in goal in front of his hometown fans, and he came through with a big clutch victory, the first out of a 2-game road set, which the Huskies won the first and lost the second one to Indiana, the team they're playing this Sunday in their second game of the season. For the Huskies, they are losing 4 big men, and of course everyone knows about them. It's been in print the whole time. Joe Morrone, who was the Herman Trophy winner last year, New England career goal leader and points scorer, who was the All-American, All-Everything for the UConn Huskies, was drafted by the Tulsa Roughnecks, did very well this year. He is gone. He was a senior midfielder. Also gone, Erhard Kapp, an All-American who was a first-round draft pick, 4th in the entire draft, this time by his hometown, the New York Cosmos. 2 other people gone. Ricky Quinn, who's playing in the American Soccer League right now for the New York Eagles. He is a midfielder. And Mike Howard, also graduated from the UConn Blue. He is now an assistant sub-varsity coach after being drafted by the Atlanta team in the North American soccer team. The Huskies have a lot of men back and a couple of newcomers. 2 newcomers that you're going to hear a lot about this year. One is John Brubaker, a junior out of Storrs, Connecticut. He transferred from the University of Rhode Island. He will be playing fullback. He'll be one of the 4 men in the backfield, one of 3 from the hometown of Storrs, Connecticut. The other one that you will hear about, a brand new person, Eric Myron, a freshman out of Falls Church, Virginia. He'll be starting in the midfield. He was a parade All-American last year, also All-State, All-Region. He is 5'9" and 165 pounds, and we are going to hear a lot from him. He is built like a truck and is mostly a one-hand physical guy. Coming back for the Huskies this year will be one All-American and 1 All-New England man. Pedro Brito, the All-American, he is a leader for New England in career assists. Last year scored 15 goals and had 13 career assists for us. A very fine year in his career. He has 72 points here at the University of Connecticut. He is about 24 points shy of Joe Morrone's all-time career record, and if he has a good year, he will be all set. But there's one small problem. He has bone chips in his foot. He is one of a few Husky injuries in the preseason so far that leaves the Huskies with a lot of question marks here early in this preseason. Elvis Conley on New England. He's back also, 17 goals, 12 assists. But he also has another problem. He had surgery in the offseason for lymph nodes around his shoulder, and he tried to come back a little bit too early, sprained his back, and then went on to sprain his knee. So he is another question mark. He will be starting along with Pedro, but they are not going to be going at full tilt. Graziano Cornolo, a junior, 12 goals, 7 assists. He has had a groin injury hamper him throughout most of the preseason. And Bill Maloney, a midfielder, will be back, but he has also been injured, and he is not starting today, and he is pretty much a doubtful player to play at all today. He has been having problems with the back of his heel, which was torn in the games up in Syracuse in the offseason. The other starters for the University of Connecticut Huskies are going to be, of course, in goal, Mr. Steady himself, Jim Monahan, the senior out of Rochester, New York. In the backfield will be Tim Maisley, Jim Lyman, and John Brubaker, along with Charlie McSpirit, the captain, the senior out of Verona, New Jersey. In the midfield will be Carlos, Eric Byron, the freshman, and Eddie Lynch, a sophomore, also out of Verona, New Jersey. Lynch earning himself that starting berth this year, and we should see a lot of action from him this year. And, of course, the forwards, Pedro Brito, Graziano Cornolo, and Elvis Conley, who combined for big numbers from last year. But, of course, their playmaking people are gone, and their offense is still intact. Their defense is questionable. Their goalkeeping supposedly will still be intact. But, like we said, a lot of injuries, and only time will tell whether the Huskies will come up to play the type of ball they played last year and see if they could give themselves another tournament berth. Now to tell us a little bit about the Billikens of St. Louis, here's Mark Boudreau.
Thanks for that fine introduction, Harold. Looks like we might have a packed house on hand, a lot of students filling in now, and they may see a very good soccer match. St. Louis last year ranked number 6, the Huskies number 5, so it should be an exciting game to be held in just a few minutes. We're about 4 minutes away from game time. Let me tell you a little bit about the Billikens. They were 6th in the nation last year, 13-5-2. They're coached by Harry Keogh. They're a 10-time national champ. In other words, they have quite a tradition of soccer coming out of that St. Louis area. Let me tell you a little bit about the coach. Keogh, his record overall, 193-40-18. That's an amazing winning percentage of .805. So, you know you're going to be playing a good soccer team here today. Today not only starts the season for the Huskies, but it's the opener for St. Louis as well. The Billikens play one of the nation's toughest schedules. And beside the Huskies today, St. Louis will go foot-to-foot with Cleveland State, Alabama A&M, SMU, and SIU Edwardsville. 5 of the first 6 games for St. Louis is on the road. Their first home game is against the University of Missouri St. Louis. That'll be on September 7th. Coming into their opener, the Billikens look pretty well equipped as far as personnel goes to take on the Huskies. However, they have a few injuries that could be a factor. All-American John Hayes has an injured right foot. He's right-footed. He'll be on the left side of the forward line, but he is going to be plagued by that injury, so he might be only at 50% at best. Other American Bill McKeon is doubtful for action today. In fact, he won't start. He has a leg injury. So they'll have a solid group of returnees to build on and hopefully improve on last season's 13-5-2 mark. For the Billikens, they'll field a 4-3-3, and they'll line up like this. They'll start from the goal position. They'll start a freshman goalie, Pat Baker, 6'3", and in the fullback positions will be Mike Menendez, a freshman, wearing number 6, Daryl Doran, number 16 in the middle, Jim Kavanaugh, number 17 on the left side. If they have a weak spot in that lineup, it could be the backfield. All 3 plus the goalie are freshmen. Menendez, Doran, and Kavanaugh and Baker are all freshmen, so they might have an untested backfield. The up back will be Dan Weaver. He's the 4th back. He's a sophomore. He'll be wearing number 19. Dave Fernandez, number 14. Mark Fredrickson, the All-American, number 4. And Joe Filla, number 5, the senior, will be the midfielders. Up front, it'll be senior Mike O'Mara, wearing number 11, Joe Ulwig, number 10, and John Hayes, number 7, the senior All-American. And he's the one with the injury to the right foot, so he'll only be able to use that left foot. Bill McKeon, the All-American, who will not see action today, was in practice yesterday and had the leg wrapped up. He was trying to practice. However, it didn't look like he'll be ready for action today. Hayes and O'Mara, by the way, combined for 20 goals last season. And I'd like to tell you that the Billikens do look like they have a good squad this year. Last season, St. Louis almost made it to the Final Four. They were in the Midwest Regional. They had a win over Southern Methodist 3-1. However, St. Louis ran into the eventual NCAA champion San Francisco, and they lost 3-2. Last season, UConn visited St. Louis. They came away with a 2-0 shutout, but this season, Coach Harry Keogh's squad plans to rectify that loss. He comes in with 3 All-Americans returning in the names of McKeon, who's injured, Fredrickson, and Hayes. So it looks to be another St. Louis powerhouse, and we'll look for speed and hustle up front with that St. Louis front line, and maybe an untested backfield. Harold, any comments before the game?
Well, of course, we haven't mentioned about the UConn Huskies schedule this year. They have probably definitely one of the toughest schedules in the country, and definitely the toughest schedule in the history of the University of Connecticut. They're going to be going against about 7 out of the top 10 teams from last year. Today's game versus St. Louis, of course, the Billikens finished number 6 in the country last year. Also going to be the Huskies are going to be facing Indiana. They're number 2 in the country. San Francisco is number 1 in the country. Alabama A&M, they're number 3 in the country. Penn State, 7. Philly Textile are number 10. And as I look down the list, Boston University is number 18. So the Huskies probably playing is just as tough a schedule as they've ever seen before in their history. And the Huskies are going to have to contend with that with 7 returning starters. And they probably will do fairly well if they hold up on those injuries.
Harold, out at the midfield area right now, we have our 2 officials for today's game, William Fortin and John Buckley, as they just had the coin toss, and St. Louis will be kicking from left to right on your radio dial for the Huskies out there. Charlie McSpirit, the captain, and Pedro DeBrito, the senior star for the Huskies. The tri-captains for this St. Louis team, Joe Phil and Mark Fredrickson, and John Hayes all trotting in. I believe we're going to have a pregame awarding to Joe Morrone Jr.
He will be our halftime guest today. And we'll talk to Joe. I think they're going to at least introduce him to the crowd. I'm not sure if they're going to give him the Herman Trophy Award. I think they already had that at a previous banquet, but he is ready to be introduced along with the starting members of the UConn Huskies and the starting members of the St. Louis Billikens. And you might be wondering just what is a Billiken, and we happen to have that answer for you. For the people who don't know what a Hoosier is, you might not have that answer. But a Billiken is a lucky piece. As the St. Louis team tells us, it is originally was a good luck piece, has become known as the, quote, god of things as they should be, unquote. The impish-looking little creature was fostered in 1909 by Florence Prince of Kansas City, Missouri, and the nickname was attached to the St. Louis team around 1910 during the coaching regime of John Bender. And so that is what a St. Louis Billiken is, and we said that last year, but if any new soccer fans listening to us this year want to know, well, that is exactly what it is. I have a story on what a Hoosier is, but we'll have to double-check that because I quite don't believe that one myself. But hopefully I'll have that one for you on Sunday. It is still overcast. The rain has subsided. It is, matter of fact, stopped. The stands are now filling up, and a lot of talk about the charging the students for every single game this year, and would that cut down on the fans' enthusiasm and the fans coming to the game. I talked to Coach Joe Morrone earlier this week, and he said, well, he hopes it doesn't, since UConn, of course, has always been has always been behind the team, and from what Coach Morrone understands, the money it's going to be used for is brand new bleachers. So we can see some of these bleachers are ready to kick over and fall down and hurt some people, but that's what they're going to be. The money's going to be put through to, and if that is exactly what it's going to go for. And it was probably good to start charging some of these fans some money for the games that they're going to.
Harold, I mentioned earlier about the St. Louis backfield being a freshman backfield. However, I failed to mention that Mike Menendez and Daryl Duran came from the same high school. They played at Christian Brothers together, as well as Jim Cavanaugh and Pat Baker, the goalie. They played junior soccer together, so these four aren't newcomers to each other. They played together. Plus, they got to play a little preseason. They went for a scrimmage in Colorado last week against the Air Force Academy. So this team has played together for almost a month. So they should be pretty adept to each other's idiosyncrasies.
And of course, I'm sure you already mentioned that most everybody from the St. Louis roster does hail from the town of St. Louis, except for one, and that is Dave Fernandez from Granite City, Illinois. And he, of course, played high school with Tony Pierce, who also came from Granite City, Illinois.
And across the river, they refer to them in St. Louis as west of St. Louis, across the river, and they look down their noses at the soccer players from that side of the river. However, Coach Keough made it very he expressed his opinion that they have some good soccer players on that side as well. In fact, Menendez was recruited by the University of Connecticut. However, he decided to stay close to home. That's Fernandez. You can always make the mistake with those.
So we're still waiting for the pregame ceremonies to begin. The clock is showing 45 minutes for the first half, and both teams are huddled around their coaches at their respective benches. And I guess we're just waiting for the signal, and the referees are out at the midfield circle to get the game still underway. I believe it's past 4 o'clock. You're in tune to WHUS Storrs, Connecticut, the sound alternative. And we hope you're going to listen to a lot of us this year. We're going to be on the air 38 times this fall. We're going to be doing men's soccer, women's soccer, of course, our regular football, and a new edition of field hockey. We're going to be doing, I think, 4 regular season field hockey games this year. If we get over all the line stuff that we possibly have to, and we could give you some good women's field hockey. They finished 6th in the country last year. They are perennial power. Of course, the women's soccer team has a new coach, Lenny Santillis, who coached the Ian Smith girls for the past 4 years, and the 3 of those years they were state champions, as Maggie Dunlop retired to take a new head coaching position at Yale University. So the women's soccer team, who are coming off being number 1 in New England, they will be a team to be reckoned with. And, of course, the football team, 7-3. Last year, probably the best record in who knows how long. It showed some enthusiasm for the football fans in the area, and they're going to have most of their offense returning with Kenny Schweitzer and company.
Harold, I got to ask you a question personally. Do you feel the pressure is on the new broadcast team as Andy Young and Bill Healy is here in attendance, BJ Fennell? We see some old faces of the WHUS programming guide over the years, and they're back here to haunt us.
A lot of old faces are back, including some from the CDC. Charlie Backus, who's now working for the Willimantic Chronicle. Kevin Hudson, who's working for a paper down in Torrington. Greg Russo's up here. We have a lot of old faces, as well as the new faces that are in the booth right now. Hopefully will do as good as a job as Andy and Bill have done over the years. And we'd like to thank them for their fine service to WHUS, as well as BJ Fennell, who's now working for a radio station down in Groton.
And we won't make any call letters for that. We don't want to plug anybody. I'd like to tell you that the St. Louis coach mentioned to me yesterday at practice that he enjoys playing on the road because the field they play on back at home is quite a horrendous field to play on. He says it's very dry and it's no home field advantage.
We remember that from last year, the Washington University field, and there's a lot of holes in it. The lighting wasn't very good. We played the night game last year, and there wasn't much grass. You saw much more dirt than you did see grass, and this field, compared to that, is a professional field. I know last year the St. Louis Billikens did play one game on a very good field. I'm not sure if that was a home game or not. That was Bush Memorial Stadium when they played SIU at Edwardsville in front of 22,512 fans. That's a national Super Bowl between the two colleges, especially when it comes to soccer. Last year, the Billikens did prevail by the score of 5-1. The sun now showing through today, or right now, on the field, but there's still a whole mess of clouds around them, so I wouldn't be too optimistic that this nice weather is going to continue.
The temperature is perfect for soccer, and it didn't rain all that long, so it doesn't look like it'll really affect the play of either team to any drastic degree. I know from past experience that a wet field can be really cumbersome for a goalie, and but they're both wearing their gloves. Pat Baker, the freshman's got to feel the jitterbugs today when it's going to be his first varsity start here in front of a very big crowd at Gardner-Dow Field. We're just about ready to get underway. We haven't had the playing of the national anthem or an award ceremony.
Or any of the introductions, and we are not exactly sure what we were waiting for. Now I think they're going to get things underway.
One change for the UConn Huskies this year. They'll be in the white jerseys, but the big change being names on the back of their jerseys. A little more class this year.
We're starting last for St. Louis, Missouri. The goalie will be Pat Baker, the freshman out of St. Louis. He played high school at Riverview Gardens. Mark Fredrickson, he'll be in midfield. He's number 4. He's also from St. Louis, as well as almost everyone else. Is Joe Thilla, number 5, also midfielder. Those last two are co-captains. Here's number 6, Mike Menendez. He's a back. He's also a freshman. John Hayes will be a co-captain. He'll be starting at the forward position. Number 10, Joe Orlig. He is a junior out of St. Louis. He'll be in the backfield. Mike O'Mara is a forward. He's number 11. Dave Fernandez coming up. He's a midfielder. A freshman out of Granite City, Illinois, the only non-St. Louis starter. Daryl Duran, number 16, the brother of teammate Dan Duran. Dan is not starting, but Daryl is. And he's a freshman, and he'll be in the defensive area. Jim Cavanaugh, number 17 in the backfield, he's a freshman. And the last starter, number 19, Dan Weaver. He's a midfielder, and he is a sophomore. He'll be in the backfield playing a super-type game. If you're wondering what the applause is all about, it's for the UConn Huskies as they're announced to the field. Wearing the green top, the goalie for the Huskies, number 1, Jimmy Renahan out of Rochester, New York. Number 2, Timmy Maisley. He'll be one of the fullbacks. And out comes Jim Lyman, the other fullback. And John Brubaker wearing number 4. Brubaker is from Storrs, Connecticut, a transfer from the University of Rhode Island. And he came to Cincinnati this summer, asked him if he could try out for the team, and they talked to him and decided yes, he could. He is now starting in the backfield for the Connecticut Huskies. Number 5, captain out of Verona, New Jersey, Charlie McSpirit. And McSpirit adds a lot of depth and also a lot of maturity to the captain position. And they're going to like to have him back there. He's a really good player. Name to take over the job for Joe Morrone and hard cap. Number 6, Carlos is introduced. He goes out and gives the high 5 or the low 5. Pedro De Brito comes trotting out number 7. He'll have the bone spurs in his foot. He could have be slowed down by that a little bit. Number 9, Graziano Cornello, who hails from Montreal, Canada, comes out. Number 10, Eric Myron, the freshman, starting with the red hair, comes running out. You can pick him out of the crowd. Number 11, Elvis Comrie, and Ed Lynch comes running out to end the starting 11 for the Huskies. Opening day here at Gardner-Dow Field in Storrs, Connecticut, the Connecticut Huskies versus the St. Louis Billikens. Huskies last year a record of 21 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie. St. Louis with a record of 13 wins, 5 losses, and 2 ties. Last year when they met head-to-head, the final score was Connecticut 2, St. Louis 0. That was on the road in St. Louis. But a lot of things have changed since then. And the Huskies are going to be trying to start off this season on a winning note. And now they're introducing Joe Morrone to the fans of the University of Connecticut. Morrone this year played very well for the Tulsa Roughnecks, and he is up for a Rookie of the Year award this year with a man from the Montreal Manic who played for Appalachian State. Morrone this year had 8 goals and 6 assists and played very fine ball. The Tulsa team was knocked off in the playoffs by Minnesota, and that is why Joe is with us today.
Coach Joe Morrone gives a wave over to Coach Keogh. Between the two of them, a little veteran in the coaching ranks, 26 years. Give him an extra 10. 26 years coaching experience between the two. We're just about set to get underway, and here with the first half action, the first 45 minutes, my broadcast partner, Dirty Harry Darak.
Thank you very much. The Huskies are going to be going from right to left, St. Louis from left to right. St. Louis in the road blues, blue jerseys and white shorts, and the Huskies in the home whites, white both ways. And the kick is up and out of way, and the season is underplay. The St. Louis Billikens team has the ball. They're going back towards their own goal. And controlling it is number 6, Mike Menendez. Menendez passes over to Mike O'Mara. O'Mara gets the ball right and over with, and it's stolen by Jimmy Lyman. Lyman comes down with the ball, going to his left, but gets picked off back by O'Mara. And O'Mara bringing the ball the other way and passes a teammate to Mark Fredrickson. Fredrickson over to another St. Louis teammate, and the St. Louis team holding control of the ball, trying to get something started here in the early going of the first game of the season between the Huskies and the Billikens. Pass upfield. Lyman gets a foot on it, and it goes back to Mike Menendez. Menendez back over to teammate Daryl Duran. Duran is the freshman, and the freshman starts up the action for the St. Louis team. Duran up the field to Joe Olig. Olig gets it across midfield, but it's kicked off by Pedro DeBrito. DeBrito almost has it restolen, and finally does so. It's kicked out of bounds over the touchline, and the referee will rule it a throw-in for the St. Louis Billikens. Jim Kavanaugh, the freshman out of St. Louis, will throw the ball in. He gets it into his teammate, Joe Olig. Olig run off the ball by Eric Myron, the freshman for the Huskies, but Myron trying to send a pass up front to Graziano Cornello, sends it a little bit too far, goes out of bounds, and St. Louis will have it thrown on the far touchline. Just getting underway here, 43 minutes and 44 seconds to go here in the first half. No score. Harold Darak along with Mark Boudreau. You're in tune to WHUS Radio. The sound alternative is we're going to bring you all the Husky action. 19 out of 21 games. Here's Elvis Conley streaking up the middle. He's lost the ball and stalled by Mike Menendez, and Menendez quickly gets it back to teammate Daryl Duran. Duran back to the goalkeeper, Pat Baker, and Baker will start out the action for the Billikens. Baker, a freshman, was an All-American candidate. He is starting his first game of the season and his first game of his varsity career. Kick goes all the way downfield, and Charlie McSpirit has it, but he's run off the ball by John Hayes, but Hayes is going to get called for pushing, and it's a direct kick for the Connecticut Huskies. Quickly, McSpirit puts it into play for Carlos. Back to McSpirit with the give and go. Pass up front to Graziano Cornello. Cornello trying to get across the midfield line, passes over to Carlos, and Carlos gives it over to Charlie McSpirit, who sends it for Eric Myron, but Myron lets it go over for number 4, Johnny Brubacher. Brubacher up to Lynch. Lynch on the left side, left to Elvis Comrie. Comrie almost has the ball stripped from him, but it's still controlled by the Huskies, as Eddie Lynch has it on the left side. Lynch gets the ball stripped away by Mike Fredrickson, but it goes out of bounds, and the Huskies will have a throw-in. No, they're going to rule it St. Louis throw-in, and some of the fans do not agree with that call, but St. Louis wanted to throw in right on the near sideline. 42 minutes and 27 seconds to go here in the first half. St. Louis has the ball. It's Dave Fernandez. Fernandez going between a couple of Huskies, trying to pass it to teammate Mark Fredrickson, and he finally gets it to him. Fredrickson passes up the left sideline to speeding teammate Joe Filla. Oh, nice slip of the ball by Charlie McSpirit. As he made a nice play, he goes across the midfield line, and McSpirit trying to send out a pass to DeBrito, has it stolen back again by Danny Weaver, and Weaver controls it for St. Louis, and the Billikens will bring it back the other way. Weaver rolling the ball over to teammate Pat Baker. Baker, the goalie, is now in the penalty area, and he's trying to throw the ball away to another teammate and finally gets rid of it, and it gets it over to Danny Weaver. Weaver on the left side. Passes it over to a teammate Daryl Duran, it looks like, and Duran is now controlling the ball right around the area of midfield. Almost done by Elvis Comrie, and it's picked up by Jimmy Lyman. But Lyman lost the ball off his foot, and it's going to be a throw-in. No, it's not off his foot. It's ruled off the St. Louis team's foot. And Connecticut will have the ball on the offense. Carlos has the ball kicked away and out of bounds by Mike O'Mara. And Connecticut will have another throw-in. And quickly, Carlos gets it into Comrie. Comrie loses it. And coming up with it will be the St. Louis team. 41 minutes and 10 seconds to go in a scoreless game here at Gardner Downfield. Throwing the ball, Joe Olig for the St. Louis team. It's going to be a 1-on-3 break. Olig passes over to teammate Dave Fernandez. Fernandez on the left side being guarded by Eric Myron, trying to get around it, but Myron sticking with him foot for foot. Shot on goal by Fernandez goes wide to the left. No save at all for Jimmy Linehan. It goes out of bounds, and it will be a goal kick for the Connecticut Huskies. Has the ball. It's Jimmy Lenihan now throwing it up in the air as he gets the pass back from Maisley. He sends it all the way up to Elvis Comrie, but Comrie was pushed from behind and was going to have a direct kick right in front of the press box area around midfield for the Connecticut Huskies, pushed by Mike Menendez, the freshman back. John McSpirit brings it around the circle. He's coming up the middle of the field. He's going the right side to Graziano Cornello. Gets the pass to Cornello. It's a 3-on-3 break. Cornello loses it momentarily, but he gives it to McSpirit. McSpirit flies it into Daryl Deland, where it's stolen there. And Deland trying to clear the ball away. Cannot do so. And there's a whistle on the play as I believe Carlos kicked John Hayes. It was not intentional. As Carlos was going for the ball, he got his foot up in the air and he hit Hayes right around the stomach area. And it's going to be a kicking ball and a direct kick for the St. Louis team in their own zone. 39 minutes, 51 seconds to go here in the first half. We're still scoreless. Controlling the ball, Mike Menendez. Menendez sends a pass back to Dave Fernandez. Remember, these are three freshmen starting in the backfield for the St. Louis team. Along with the goalie, Pat Baker, very inexperienced backfield, but they're all All-Americans, and they're supposedly should do the job. It's Danny Weaver with the ball. Weaver sends it across midfield for teammate Joe Filla. Filla is a co-captain. Filla gets the ball stripped from him from Eddie Lynch, and the Huskies will bring the ball back the other way. There's a fight between Graziano Cornello and a St. Louis player. The fight is won by St. Louis, and they are controlling the ball. This is Dave Fernandez on the left side, looking for teammate and getting it to Mike O'Mara. O'Mara being guarded by Jimmy Lyman. Passes the ball up. It's stolen by Carlos. Carlos controlling the ball. Dribbles around two. St. Louis players streaking on the left side. He's being pushed from the back, but no call. And Carlos still controlling the ball. Sends it for Elvis Comrie, but it's stolen by Mike Menendez as the pass was off. Comrie really had no chance to get the ball, and Menendez comes up with it. And St. Louis again will control the ball. Most of the action being had right in the St. Louis defensive area. St. Louis not being able to mount up anything of an offensive attack. Last year they lost to graduation Steve Sullivan, who had 19 goals and 4 assists, and sitting on the bench is Bill McEwen, who was a starting All-American in the backfield. He did not score much, but he was one of the leading cogs of the team last year. Huskies with a break. DeBrito in front of the goal. Shot to the left. Just misses. It's off the crossbar out of bounds. And it's the first corner kick of the game as DeBrito made a nice play.
This offensive drive by the Huskies, and Pedro got all of it, but it was just wide to the left of the goal, and it was
Had a little English on it when it was spinning left. The Huskies will get a corner kick.
DeBrito will take the corner kick. Shoots it up front. It's a nice lob pass. Looking for the header. It got on Cornello, but he's pushed away. No call. And St. Louis clears the ball all the way into the Husky end. And it's picked up there by number 10, Joe Oleg. Oleg pass on the right side to John Hayes. It's a 2-on-4 break. Hayes is throwing the ball up, looking to get a long pass in front of it. If any of his teammates will go and take the ball, Oleg gets the ball in front of the penalty box. Over to number 14, Dave Fernandez. He kicks it wide to the left, and he goes over the goal line. And the Huskies will have a goal kick. 37 minutes, 38 seconds to go here in the first half, and we're scoreless.
Right there, Harold, the Husky defense got caught up, and there was an unmarked man in the goal area. And they're going to have to watch out for that, or setting up a pass like that, we could have a quick goal.
Connecticut with the ball. Carlos crosses midfield over to DeBrito. DeBrito has no real room to move it anyway. He passes on the right side to Elvis Comrie. Comrie controls the ball, and he's trying to get around Mike Menendez. Now, give and go back to Comrie. Comrie over to DeBrito, but it's cleared nicely by St. Louis. But the Husky offense trying to get this crowd going, and in order to get themselves going, there's a header by Charlie McSpirit that goes out of bounds, and before that we're going to get a push by Mike O'Meara. It's going to be an indirect kick right in front of the crowd on the far sideline. Huskies controlling the ball. Elvis Comrie gets the header, goes all the way down to Bill Deland of the St. Louis team, as no Husky was really there to make the play, and St. Louis is controlling the ball. With it is number 14, Dave Fernandez. Fernandez heads the ball to a teammate, but he heads it a little bit too far. He goes out of bounds, and the Huskies will have a throw-in. Billy Morrone now picks the ball up to give it to his teammate. He's wearing his brother's number 8. We don't think he's going to see any action today, and we'll have to see if he's on the bench, and he is dressed, but it's very doubtful we're going to see him play. Huskies get pushed from behind by Dave Fernandez, and they will have a direct kick right in front of the press box. Carlos sends it up in front for Elvis Comrie. Comrie hits it off his chest, off his knee, off his leg, sends it up in front of the goal, but coming out to make the play is Pat Baker on a bounce. And Baker, if he lost that bounce, could have been in trouble because Graziano Cornello was right there ready to snatch up that ball and put it into the net. Baker sends a low line drive up to teammate Mike Frederickson. Frederickson really can't control the ball as he gives it back to Joe Fuller, and St. Louis gets a tag going on the left side. Controlling the ball is Frederickson. They're in the Husky zone. Frederickson coming down the left side, trying to get around Jimmy Lyman. Passes the ball up in front for teammate John Hayes, but it's cleared away nicely by Tim Maisley. And the Huskies playing very good defense so far today. Controlling the ball, Daryl Duran. He's right for his far sideline. Stripped from by Elvis Conley, and the Huskies on a 2-on-2 break. It's Conley and DeBrito. Conley streaking down the right side, has the ball tackled away from him, and a whistle on the play, a tripping call, and a direct kick. And not too happy about that is Daryl Duran, as he felt that he had a clean tackle on the ball, but he did not. The Huskies will have a chance to set up a play about 10 yards outside of the penalty box. Man zone at all in front of the line, and sending up front. Elvis Conley misses the header. Cornell controlling the ball. He ends up once, but coming out to make the play from the goal position is Pat Baker. And another Husky scoring attempt is thwarted. 34 minutes, 52 seconds to go here in the first half. We're scoreless at Gardner Dow. Harold Darak along with Mark Boudreau. You're listening to the first soccer game of the season for the Connecticut Huskies. Charlie McSpirit over to Eddie Lynch. Over to Jimmy Lyman. Lyman brings the ball across midfield as he sends it up to McSpirit. McSpirit trying to control the offense on the right side, but there's a miss on the play, kicked out of bounds, last touch by St. Louis, and a throw-in for Connecticut. McSpirit takes it, passes over to Pedro DeBrito. DeBrito is tripped as he's trying to make his move around one St. Louis player, and Pedro forgives the player, but he will have a direct kick on the right side of the penalty box about 10 yards away. This is right along the baseline. DeBrito sends up a lob in front for Conley, punched away by Baker, settled down by Eddie Lynch. Lynch trying to get around one ball player, is right in front of the penalty box, shot is high and away. And it's going to be St. Louis's ball on a goal kick.
Early season jitters there for Lynch as he didn't take his time, get his body over the ball. He got under it, and it would have been good for 3 points over at Memorial Stadium, but right here we'll have to settle for a goal kick by St. Louis.
And taking the goal kick, it looks like it will be number 16, Daryl Duran. Duran on the left side, almost stolen by Lynch, but it's settled down on the foot of Joe Fuller. Fuller passing over to Frederickson. Frederickson looking to find someplace to outlet the ball. Goes behind himself and gives it over to Daryl Duran. So Duran now controlling it for the St. Louis Blue. Sends it up front. Almost stolen by one Husky player. Settled down by number 10, Joe Orlig. Orlig has 2 Huskies on him as he looks to start up something in the offense. They're in the Husky zone. Orlig passes it out in front to Frederickson. Frederickson sends it all the way back to Duran, back into the St. Louis territory. Remember, last year Frederickson with 1 goal and 5 assists. He was an All-American. John Hayes was an All-American. Also Bill McEwen. McEwen is on the bench with an injury. All 3 of them All-Americans for the St. Louis Billikens.
Hayes on the left side, you got to remember, won't be using too much of his right foot. He'll be all left foot today, so they might have only a 2-man offense up front.
And remember, Hayes usually uses his right foot, and so it's very important when it comes to the offense of the St. Louis team. Controlling the ball, Joe Orlig, but he loses it to John Bubacher from the Connecticut Huskies, and the UConn right is controlling the ball. Jimmy Lenahan now rolls it out on the left side to Jimmy Lyman. Lyman looking to see if there's an opening on the left side. He pushes the ball up to Eric Myron. Myron has 2 blue colors on him, St. Louis, but he kicks it away last by St. Louis, and Connecticut will have the throw-in, and Jimmy Lyman will take it. Lyman, as you remember, was out for 1 season due to academic ineligibility, but he is back with the Connecticut team, and he will be playing the fullback position throughout most of the year. Offside is called on the Connecticut team, and St. Louis will have an indirect kick, as Carlos really does not agree with that call.
But it'll have to stand. I don't think he can change the man in the black's decision about that one.
Few Huskies who are not playing this year. Jeffrey Bope took off a semester last year. He decided not to go out for the soccer team this year to concentrate on his academics. That decision is probably not final. He might come back next year. We are not sure. John Novojaski, who played last year, scored 1 of the 2 goals for the UConn team versus this St. Louis team, is out due to academic ineligibility. The Huskies making a move to Brito. Wives were in front for Carnello. Carnello showing that he was obstructed with, and that is exactly what the call is going to be. Obstruction call right in front of the penalty area, about 5 feet in the front, and it's going to be an indirect kick. And the Huskies are going to set up one of their patented plays with St. Louis setting up looks like a 5 or 6 man line, defensive line right in front of the goal. So let's see what the Huskies can come up with. The clock is running 31 minutes and 8 seconds to go. It's a very good scoring opportunity for Connecticut. They get to set up right outside the penalty area. And Joe Orlig for St. Louis making sure all the men are stationed exactly the way they want it. Taking the kick will either be McSpirit or Boudreau. Boudreau takes a shot on goal, kicked right into the line of St. Louis players, so no real opportunity. The ball's cleared all the way back to John Brubacher, and Brubacher's going to try to keep the Husky offense going. This is Elvis Conner with the ball, right side to Eddie Lynch. Lynch trying to get around Joe Filla. Can't do so, and the ball goes out of bounds. Last touch by Lynch, and St. Louis has a throw on the far sideline. St. Louis controlling the ball. And holding it down would be Mike Menendez. Menendez bringing it up the right side. The Brito on him. Menendez sends it right up to the middle. It's knocked away by Carlos, but controlled by St. Louis. And Dan Weaver has it on the right side. Weaver trying to get around Cornello. Sends a pass up for Mike O'Mara. O'Mara was pushed on the play by Jimmy Lyman. And there will be a direct kick for the St. Louis team about 20 yards out of the penalty box.
Jimmy Renahan making sure everybody marked in front of the box. Everybody in the white has a blue jersey.
A good scoring opportunity for St. Louis. Mike Menendez going to be taking the direct kick. Jimmy Lyman 10 yards away from him. He sends it up in front of the goal towards the right. And it goes out of play, so it'll be a goal kick for the Huskies. They quickly get it in play. And Jimmy Lyman sends it back to Jimmy Renahan. And the Connecticut Blue, deep in their own zone, have the ball. 29 minutes and 30 seconds to go here in the first half. We're in a scoreless contest. Eric Myron, the freshman from Falls Church, Virginia, holding the ball, gets it up to Graziano Cornello. Cornello sends it back to Jimmy Lyman. Huskies trying to get out of their own zone, trying to bring it over the midfield line. Almost stolen by Oleg, now controlled by St. Louis. St. Louis breaking on the right side. This is Mike O'Mara coming into the penalty box. Stripped of the ball by Myron. And a beautiful play by Myron. The freshman, as the ball goes out of bounds. And Harry Keogh, the coach for St. Louis, is screaming at the referee that he was pushed down in the penalty area. But the ball goes out of bounds, last touched by the Connecticut Huskies, and it's going to be a corner kick for the St. Louis University Billikens. So the first corner kick of the game for the Billikens. And taking it will be number 14, Dave Fernandez. Yep. Fernandez lobs one in front of the goal. Headed away by Tim Maisley, but still within the penalty box area. Oleg gets the foot on it, gets the foot on it again. Kicked away by Carlos. A lot of traffic in front of that goal. Now sent it down by Melendez. Hits it off the back of Myron. Myron sends it right over to Timmy Maisley. Maisley clears the ball nicely, and the Huskies have control of it. It's Elvis Conley with the ball right around midfield. Sends it up to DeBrito. Off his chest, but DeBrito trips, resettles the ball off his foot, and Connecticut has it on the left side. This is Carlos coming left front. Carlos passed the ball left side to Cornello. Cornello looking to get around one St. Louis defender. Gets it back to Carlos. Carlos slows the play down a little bit. Passes over to Tim Maisley. Maisley the back from Storrs, Connecticut. Passes over to Eddie Lynch. Lynch over to Cornello. Cornello give and go back to Lynch. Lynch sends the ball up in front. It's kicked off the back of the St. Louis player. They're calling a handball, but they're not going to get it. And the ball does not go out of play. It's saved by Pat Baker. And the Huskies do not get the scoring threat answered, as Billikens team will control the ball. Two substitutes getting ready to check into the game for the Connecticut team. Paul Hunter and Jim D'Arsanio. Both of them are sophomores. And this will be coming out of the game. Paul Hunter played a lot last year on the Midwest trip. D'Arsanio was playing a little bit towards the end of the season.
How did they get that name on the back of the jersey?
Well, he didn't see it on the back, but it's all there. Number 15, D'Arsanio, number 14, Paul Hunter. Hunter was up for a starting position with Eddie Lynch, but Lynch just beat him out on the last week. St. Louis controlling the ball. 27 minutes, 26 seconds to go. They are in their own zone. We are in a scoreless game here. Guarded outfield. Connecticut 0, St. Louis 0. And coming with the ball is Dave Fernandez. Fernandez streaking down the right side. He still has control of the ball. A couple Huskies trying to strip the ball from him. Pass out in front. It gets cleared nicely by Brubacher. And double cleared again, this time by Eddie Lynch. But almost a mistake by the Huskies in front of the penalty area. And that would have been a St. Louis goal, but the Huskies got lucky right there.
A very lucky break for the Huskies. Oleg just couldn't get the power foot on it, and it went sliding by him. Lucky break for UConn Huskies.
The next UConn Husky game to be broadcast over the airways will be this Saturday at 1:55, UConn versus Indiana. A rematch of last year, which saw the Huskies fall 1-0 in Bloomington. A holding penalty called. This time is going to be on Elvis Comrie. St. Louis will get a direct kick right in front of the UConn bench.
As far as not being 100%, I think somebody's been fooling the doctors because Comrie looks super today. He's had some nice moves, and he seems to have that quickness and speed.
DeBrito has not looked like he has done much, but he has not had the opportunity to show anything. Same with Graziano Cornello. Cornello has to stretch extra before every game to make sure he does not aggravate that pulled muscle. And he looks like he's been running at full strength pretty much. Danny Weaver for St. Louis controlling the ball. St. Louis has not made one substitution yet, either has the Huskies, but they have two getting ready to come into the game. Brubacher steals the ball, sends it up front. It's headed back by a St. Louis player, but Connecticut has the ball off the foot of Jimmy Lyman. And it's now up in the air, and it's settled off the chest of Amos Comrie. Comrie sends it up on the right side, over the head of Jim Kavanaugh, and it goes right to the foot of Pedro DeBrito. DeBrito trying to get around Kavanaugh, and he does so once. He gets around twice, but Kavanaugh finds himself again and re-steals the ball from DeBrito, but he has to get away from DeBrito and McSpirit, and he just about does that when the whistle blows. And we're going to have a holding call on St. Louis. Connecticut will have a direct kick right outside the penalty area.
It looks like it's going to be Pedro DeBrito taking the direct kick from I'd say about 25 yards outside the net.
Pedro DeBrito will be going with his left foot. He pushes it right foot. Comrie has the ball right in front of the goal area. Shot, and it's good! Comrie off the foot of Pedro DeBrito with 25 minutes and 12 seconds to go here in the first half, and the Huskies have scored the first goal of the season. Comrie starting up right where he left off last year, getting his first goal of the season off a pass from Pedro DeBrito. DeBrito picking up the assist. He is the career leader in assists in New England. And that was Comrie coming off a season which had him scoring 17 goals and 12 assists. Picks up right where he left off. The Huskies on the board, and they lead it 1-0. That goal is scored. 19 minutes and 48 seconds. Make that 19 minutes and 38 seconds. That was Comrie from Pedro DeBrito. Huskies 1, St. Louis nothing. St. Louis takes the kickoff, and quickly action is resumed. This time Brubaker steals the ball, and he runs right up off the ball, but he quickly pushes Joe Morrone, and a penalty and a foul called. So St. Louis will come up with the ball.
We have a couple of substitutions down along the Husky bench. It looks to be Graziano Cornolo will be checking back in.
Cornolo just came out of the game when the two substitutes, Paul Hunter and Jim D'Arsanio, came in. And that's the other Husky who left the game.
I believe it's going to be number 17, Elio Romeo.
Romeo is going to be checking into the game, but we are not.
Will go sit down. Apparently he had something to discuss with Coach Morrone.
We will not see who else took the bench when the two substitutes came in for Connecticut, but once we do, we'll relay that message to you. St. Louis with the ball deep in the Husky territory. Coming up with Mike Menendez. Shot and goal. Saved by Linehan. And coming up with his Ellis Comrie. Beautiful save by Linehan as the St. Louis player was unmarked on the right side of the Connecticut goal. Jim D'Arsanio coming up with the ball on the left side. He is a very physical player. He has the ball stolen from him by Danny Weaver. And Weaver bringing it back the other way in the Connecticut zone. Mike Menendez now controlling the ball. Menendez sending the ball back all the way to Daryl Duran. Duran is playing the sweeper back position for the St. Louis team, even though they do not call it that. St. Louis has the ball right around the midfield area. Also getting ready to check into the game is Bob LeMay. And we do finally find out who the other Connecticut player who sat down was. It was Eric Myron, the freshman from Falls Church, Virginia. So Myron and Cornolo are now sitting on the bench, and Jim D'Arsanio and Paul Hunter are on the playing field. St. Louis controlling the ball. With it is Oleg. Oleg sends it up front, headed away by Eddie Lynch. Lynch heads it right back to Oleg, who sends it over to Mark Fredrickson, and St. Louis still controlling the ball on the offense.
A risky move coming up for the St. Louis team as they're going to send in Bill McKeon, who was injured and doubtful to start today, but he didn't start, but he was doubtful to play today, but we're seeing differently right now as he's getting instructions from coach.
In the first half, and St. Louis controlling the ball. This time it's number 11, Mike O'Meara, getting pushed from behind by the Huskies. A direct kick, and St. Louis puts the ball quickly in the play. Another whistle is the referee thought they started up the play just a little bit too early. Now they're going to call it the other way. St. Louis push, and Connecticut comes up with the ball. Direct kick for Connecticut. Carlos sends it in the play all the way up to Jim D'Arsanio. D'Arsanio has the ball stolen from him as he really never had control of it. And the ball goes up to Bill McCune. McCune trying to get around the new man for the Huskies, Eric Myron. He does so, passes over to a St. Louis teammate, but they're going to slow it up and bring it all the way back to the backfield as Daryl Duran is now holding control of the ball. Duran passes over to teammate Jim Cavanaugh. Cavanaugh back to Duran to give and go back to Cavanaugh. Almost stolen by D'Arsanio, but coming up with it again is Duran. Duran back to Cavanaugh. Cavanaugh over the midfield line. Sends a pass up front off the chest of Charlie McSpirit. He controls it and gives it over to Bobby LeMay. LeMay streaking up the field on the left side, trying to pass it up to Elio Romeo. But Romeo was not as fast enough, and LeMay's kick was just a little bit too far for Romeo, and the Huskies lose control of the ball. Quickly, they regain it back. John Brubaker over to Eric Myron. Myron back over to Charlie McSpirit. McSpirit holding the ball, slowing up, controlling everything. 14 minutes and 30 seconds remaining here in the first half. Myron sends it into the St. Louis territory, but the ball goes out of bounds over the touchline, and St. Louis will have a throw-in. Henderson looking for an open player. Gets it down the sideline, passes it right over to John Hayes. Hayes controlling it, but loses it to Romeo, but recontrols it back again. Hayes going towards midfield. Now going back in, looking for a teammate to pass to. Right behind him is Paul Hunter. Hunter, really hustling type ball player, doing a fine job in there right now. Here's Pedro Rubino with the ball, but he loses it. And coming up with it is Jim Cavanaugh. And St. Louis controlling the ball, goes all the way back to Daryl Duran, right around the penalty box. And if St. Louis wants to tie this game before halftime, they're going to have to get something going with 13 minutes and 50 seconds to go. And Connecticut now has the ball. Myron getting around one St. Louis player. Passes it over to Romeo. Romeo controlling it. Passes it back over to Carlos. Carlos coming up with the ball on the right side, trying to get around Fredrickson. He does not do so. Instead, he passes over to McSpirit right along the right sideline. McSpirit slowing it down now, going around the St. Louis player. He's going right towards the baseline. A lob shot in front. Header by DeBrito is right in front of the goal. It's cleared away by St. Louis. A good defensive play by the St. Louis team, who is also always known for the defense. And Connecticut gets called for a push in the action that comes up right after that. And the Huskies lose the ball to the Billikens.
And they say patience is a virtue, Harold. We're seeing an example of it right now as three Huskies waiting to check in. They've waited almost 5 minutes. Jimmy Lyman, Gratz, Cornolo, and Elvis Comrie wait patiently, trying to get back in and get that Husky offense rolling again.
Joe Filla lobs it into the Connecticut zone, and it's controlled by St. Louis, where Jim Cavanaugh has it. Cavanaugh right in the corner, gets a nice pass to a wide open Mike Menendez. Menendez coming to the penalty area. He is not confronted by any defensive player, but finally loses it and regains it on the right side. Menendez trying to go around LeMay. He's right on the sideline, kicked off the foot of LeMay. Goal line, and it'll be a corner kick for the St. Louis Billiken team, but the three Huskies plus one check in. Eddie Lynch, Elvis Comrie, Jim Lyman, and Graziano Cornolo check in for Timmy Mosley, Pedro DeBrito, Elio Romero, and number 14, Paul Hunter. So a goal kick right now, 12 minutes, 20 seconds clock going here in the first half. Connecticut 1, St. Louis nothing. They're going to try to tie it up here. Winning all the way out of the goal, but it was called, a push is called by Bill McEwen right around the goal area. As Lenahan came out to make the play, but McEwen looked like he interfered with not only the goalkeeper, but a couple of Husky players, and Connecticut has the ball coming up the right sideline in the Billiken zone. D'Orsano trying to kick it past Joe Filla has a little bit of difficulty doing that, but the Huskies finally get it out and around from him, where the ball is stolen right at the midfield line by number 14, Dave Fernandez. Fernandez sends a pass up front to his teammate, John Hayes. Hayes one of two Connecticut teammates, and he can't defeat them as the Huskies come up with the ball. Renahan has it right side to Eric Myron. Myron throwing the ball up, looking to find the open man. Is a breaking Carlos. Carlos goes to the right. Myron feeds the ball to him. Carlos trying to get around number 4, Mark Fredrickson. Can't do so. The pass goes back to Myron. Myron has two St. Louis players converge on him, and he gets it over to Brubacher from Storrs, Connecticut. Brubacher has not seen much of the ball, but the one play he made could have been a goal saver, as he got a beautiful play off the back of his heel to knock the ball out of the Connecticut penalty area. This time Elvis Conley heads the ball up front, but there's no Husky there, and coming up with it will be Daryl Duran. And Duran lets the ball go all the way back to Pat Baker. 10 minutes and 56 seconds to go here in the first half. Remember, halftime guest will be Joe Morrone Jr. from the Tulsa Roughnecks. A whistle on the play on the far sideline. We'll see exactly what they're going to call. That's going to be a Connecticut push, I believe, and it's going to be a direct kick right on the midfield line on the far sideline, and St. Louis takes it. Brubacher just misses getting ahead on it, but he's going to be called for, I believe, a push. That's going to be Oleg, the junior striker who comes from St. Louis, who went to high school at Aquinas High School. It's called for the push, and Connecticut coming up with the ball. Lyman in the St. Louis territory. Over to Comrie right in front of the penalty box, gets the ball stripped back from Daryl Duran. And Duran sends it on the side over to teammate Dave Fernandez. Fernandez being guarded by Lynch. Pass the ball right side to Hayes. Give and go. But there's a push from behind by Carlos. He doesn't believe the call, but it was obviously a push right in front of the press box. And Connecticut lose the ball to the Billikens one more time. This time again around the midfield line. 9 minutes and 53 seconds to go here in the half. Huskies cannot let down. And if they don't let down at all, they'll come up with a halftime lead of 1-0. Elvis Comrie scoring the first goal of the season at 19 minutes and 38 seconds off the foot of Pedro DeBrito. Connecticut controlling the ball. John Brubacher controlling it, passes back to Eric Myron. Myron lets the ball go all the way to Jimmy Renahan, and Renahan will start up the offense all the way back from the goalkeeper position. Right side over to Bob LeMay. LeMay sending a pass up to Eddie Lynch, goes a little bit past Lynch and out of bounds over the touchline, and it will be a throw-in for the St. Louis team. Throw is right to the foot of John Brubacher, and the Huskies steal the ball right back, but they can't control it for long. It's coming over to is Joe Phillip. Phillip streaking down in the Husky defense. Right next to him is Jim D'Arsanio, and Charlie McSpirit steals the ball momentarily, but the ball was right to the foot of Carlos. But Phillip controlled the ball for a little bit longer, and I believe the Huskies would like him to have had it. And coming over is Graziano Cornolo. Cornolo trying to pass it back to Myron, has the ball sent back to him by Mark Fredrickson. This time he finally gets the ball to Myron, and Myron's going up the left side with it. Right over the touchline, right over the midfield line, and Myron sends a pass up to Jimmy Lyman. Lyman going around one St. Louis player right to the foot of Carlos. And Carlos loses the ball as he's stolen from behind by John Hayes. And the St. Louis team has the ball deep in the Connecticut territory. This time it's Bill McEwen. McEwen sending a pass to Daryl Duran. Duran over to another teammate. 8 minutes and 25 seconds to go in the first half. DeBrito and Maisley getting set to check back into the game. A whistle on the play and a push called by Elvis Comrie. Maybe a trip call by Elvis Comrie right at the midfield line. A direct kick for the St. Louis team. St. Louis has only substituted one player, and that has been Bill McEwen for Danny Weaver. McEwen is the injured All-American. He has had an injured knee surgery in the offseason, and he is playing his first action of the year. Charlie McSpirit with the ball on the right side. Gets around Mike O'Meara. Or is trying to get around Mike O'Meara. Now Fredrickson comes up to double team him, and Fredrickson steals the ball. Fredrickson over to Joe Phillip. Phillip getting the ball back into the Connecticut zone, where there's a scramble for him, and coming up it will be Carlos. Carlos trying to get around one man, has the ball stolen from behind by St. Louis, but right to the foot of Eddie Lynch, and Lynch is controlling the ball for Connecticut. Lynch over to Elvis Comrie. Comrie over to Jimmy Lyman. Lyman on the left side, a nice lob over to Comrie, but it went over to the right just a little bit too much. Joe Morrone, the senior, is throwing his clipboard down, not too happy with Lyman's kick, as it went right to the head of Daryl Duran instead of Elvis Comrie. There's a kick in there by Mike Menendez. It goes all the way out of bounds, and a corner kick for the Huskies with 7 minutes and 16 seconds to go. Maisley and DeBrito check back into the game. Checking out of the game would be Bob LeMay. And Jim D'Arsanio, I believe.
Yep, Jim D'Arsanio on the far sideline comes trotting around. 6 minutes, 57 seconds left.
DeBrito with the corner kick in front of the goal. Header by Graciano Cornolo is missed, and it's controlled by Dave Fernandez, as St. Louis will take the ball right away. Remember, Billy Maloney has not seen any action in today's game. Huskies ball kept in their own zone, as Charlie McSpirit is controlling it. And St. Louis has the ball as they steal it right back from the Connecticut team. St. Louis quickly gets the ball after a foul. They send it right back into play, and it's Joe Orwig fighting for it along with John Brubacher. Orwig wins the fight and the battle, but it's quickly stolen from behind and knocked out of bounds by Connecticut, and St. Louis will have a throw-in right in front of the press area. 6:16 to go here in the first half. St. Louis's ball. Bill McEwen passing it back to a teammate, almost stolen by Maisley, knocked out of bounds by St. Louis, and Connecticut will have a throw kick, and it'll be taken by Pedro DeBrito. Well, it was going to be taken by DeBrito. DeBrito leaves it for Jimmy Lyman, and Lyman sends up the pass to Pedro DeBrito. Streaking around Mike Menendez, putting on the speed that DeBrito's going for on the left side, going towards the baseline. DeBrito getting around one St. Louis player. He's right up in front, pass to nobody. As Mike Menendez was there, the ball was cleared out of bounds over the touchline. And Connecticut will get the throw in, but DeBrito having a very good opportunity as he set up Connecticut with their second goal. This time DeBrito is pushed by Jim Cavanaugh. No call, and the ball is stolen by St. Louis. 5:32 to go in the first half. Huskies still up by 1 by the score of 1-0. Carlos steals the ball. Gets it over to McSpirit. McSpirit over to number 9, Graciano Cornolo. They are now in the St. Louis zone. Over to Elvis Comrie. Comrie trying to run with the ball before he had control of it, and St. Louis regains possession of it. St. Louis controlling the ball. It's Daryl Duran kicking the ball over to a teammate as they are in their own territory. They have not had much of any offensive opportunity so far today.
How's it go, Charlie?
Charlie McSpirit gets a header on the ball as it's settled on the foot of St. Louis ball player. And pass over to John Hayes. Hayes being guarded by Tim Maisley. Sends a pass right up to a teammate to Joe Orlig. Orlig trying to give a give and go to Hayes. But quickly, Tim Maisley steps between the two and steals the ball. Maisley running around in circles with it. Sends it over to Jim Linehan. And the Husky defense prevails once more. Linehan outwinning the ball on the right side. And Elvis Conley gets the ball right around midfield. 4:35 to go. Conley trying to start something up. It's a 3-on-2 break. Conley right down the middle, going towards the left side. Conley takes a shot and goes to the left side. It's saved by Pat Baker. But Conley definitely shot that ball just a little bit too early. Did not wait for his teammates. And if he was a little more patient, they might have had a little bit better of a shot. But another score goes by the books. Connecticut 1, St. Louis 0. 4:15 to go in the first half. Maisley controlled the ball over to Carlos. Almost stolen by Fredrickson. Now stolen by Fredrickson. Fredrickson much bigger than Carlos. He stands at 5'11". Carlos, I believe, stands at 5'5" or 5'6". And Fredrickson looks like a towering giant over him. As the Huskies now regain possession of the ball. This time it's going to be, I believe, Jimmy Lyman. Lyman sending it up for Graziano Cornolo. Cornolo has the ball stolen by Joe Phillip before he even gets a chance at touching it. 3:44 to go here in the first half. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Ben Palazzo, who's back at the studio, and he is doing a fine job engineering. We'd also like to thank you, James, of the sports staff, who's letting us have his Wednesday afternoon rock shift from 3 to 6 on the Sound Alternative.
And we'd also like to thank Tony Savino, who's playing softball tonight, for at least stepping in to get us on the air. And then Ben came in to do his clutch performance, of course, in the engineering slot.
It's 5 o'clock, and you're in tune to WHUS, Storrs, Connecticut, the Sound Alternative, where you can hear all UConn Husky soccer and football and any other sport that you want to hear. There's now 3 minutes and 6 seconds to go in the first half. St. Louis controlling the ball. Losses. Pedro DeBrito comes up with DeBrito. Sends it up to Elvis Conley. Conley, a 1-on-2 break as Conley's on the left side. Slows it up a little bit. He gets around one St. Louis player in the penalty zone. Gets around another one. He slows it up, stops it, waits for a teammate, gives it over to DeBrito on the right side as St. Louis defenders come back, but they're still in the penalty zone. Shot and goal over the goalpost.
A wise move by Conley as he waited
For DeBrito to come down with Gratz Cornolo. He had all three. It was a 3-on-3. Baker waited, and maybe he just waited a tad too long. DeBrito with a shot wide by about a foot over the net.
1-0. Huskies still on top. 2 minutes and 27 seconds to go in the first half. They're playing some fine ball. Most of the action has been in the St. Louis zone, as the Huskies would like it. St. Louis not mounting many offensive opportunities so far. Right now controlling the ball, St. Louis, and it's Jim Cavanaugh. Cavanaugh sending it up front for a streaking day. Fernandez shot and goal! It's a score! Linehan came out of the goal. Fernandez got around a couple of Husky players, and he scored the goal with 2 minutes and 7 seconds to go here in the first half. The score is now tied at 1-1. Joe Morrone throwing his clipboard down on the ground. St. Louis ties it up as the Huskies have a defensive lapse once more.
I believe that goal might go unassisted, but I can't believe that Jimmy Renahan came out of the nets like that. And then he put his head in his hands, of course, and he knew he had made the mistake. But I think he figured that the ball was going to roll, and maybe he didn't see Fernandez coming out.
Dave Fernandez, who is a freshman, scoring his first varsity goal ever in his first varsity game. The Huskies is now trying to get the Huskies psyched up in this last 2 minutes and 5 seconds. It looks like this game is going to be going into halftime tied unless the Huskies come up with some sort of miracle in the last 2 minutes of play here in the first half. Maisley controlling the ball for Connecticut. Right around the midfield circle, Maisley sends it back for Charlie McSpirit. McSpirit sends a lob on the right side where it's stolen by number 11, Mike O'Mara. O'Mara gets the ball stolen back. Graziano Cornolo comes up and he passes it right in front to Elvis Conley. Conley controlling right in front of the penalty area, but it's kicked away by St. Louis and knocked away by Bill McEwen. And Connecticut loses the ball to the St. Louis attackers. Pass right up to the Connecticut zone and it's picked off by Charlie McSpirit. McSpirit sends it back to Linehan. 1:25 to go here in the first half as Dewey Lyman comes up in on the right side. Lyman streaking up the right side, passes over to Eddie Lynch. Lynch gets it across midfield. Lynch passes it over to Graziano Cornolo. Cornolo trying to get around Joe Fuller, and he can't seem to do so. It's knocked away by Mike O'Mara and controlled by the St. Louis team. Pass up front for Joe Olig as the ball goes back into the Connecticut zone. Olig trying to get around Brubacher. He is now in a foot race with Brubacher, and McSpirit comes up from the other side and steals the ball. McSpirit over to Lynch. Lynch having some problems with the ball. The ball is kicked back to the Connecticut team, and Carlos has it on the left side. 51 seconds to go in the first half. This time it's Elvis Comrie on the left side gets the ball stripped away from him by Mike Menendez over the touchline, and Connecticut will have a throw-in with just 41 seconds to go in the first half. Comrie on the left side on the throw-in from Carlos Carlos. He is now in the corner, sends up a lob, and foot is no one there. Pat Baker comes up and makes a nice grab, making the save with 30 seconds to go in the first half. Baker outlets the ball on the left side, trying to give St. Louis one more offensive chance to take the lead right at the end of the first half and have the Huskies stunned. But right now, St. Louis has one man going downfield untouched, and that man is Joe Fuller. Fuller coming right into the penalty area, and it's stolen by Charlie McSpirit. 13 seconds to go. McSpirit sends the ball on the right side to Carlos. 9 seconds to go in the first half. Looks like it's going to be a tie game here at halftime. It's Storrs Connecticut. DeBrito in front of the penalty area. He takes a shot and goal off the head of the St. Louis defender. But that's it. At halftime here at Gardner Field in Storrs, Connecticut, the score, the Huskies of Connecticut won, the Billikens of St. Louis won. We'll be back with our halftime guest, Joe Morrone Jr., right after this. Back with Mark Boudreau. The halftime score, Connecticut won and St. Louis won, and we'll run down the two goals as we have them. In 1938, Connecticut got on the board for the first goal of the season. Elvis Comrie getting a nice shot right in front of the goal area off a pass from Pedro DeBrito, and that made the score Connecticut 1 and St. Louis 0. And it looked like that's exactly what was going to happen all the way up until halftime, but St. Louis got on the board with just 3 minutes left. To be exact, the time was 42:53. Dave Fernandez on an unassisted goal as he was streaking towards the goal. Jim Renahan, the goalie for Connecticut, came out just a little bit too far, and Fernandez shot the ball into the open net as he made a nice move around Renahan, and that's where we stand here at Gardner Field. It's Connecticut 1 and St. Louis 1. We'd like to tell you that UConn Husky soccer action on the Sound Alternative is made possible in part through very generous underwriting grants from the following local establishments: Subway footlong sandwiches, Holiday Spirits, University Pizza, Nice Trow Incorporated Family Fashion Center, and the UConn Friends of Soccer. And my halftime guest this afternoon is a well-known player in the Storrs area, Joe Morrone Jr., who is a...
Hey, I'm not junior.
You're not a junior?
No, my father's junior. Come on now.
What are you, junior the second?
That's right. There's no Joe Morrone up in Tulsa, so they can call me the regular Joe Morrone.
Joe Morrone from the Tulsa Roughnecks, who is a rookie in the North American Soccer League. You had yourself a fine year this year, Joe.
Well, I thought I did all right. You know, I think our team could have done a little better. We made the playoffs, and we did well. But, you know, I was a little disappointed that we didn't go further in the playoffs. We made this first round.
Now, this year you scored 8 goals, and I think you assisted on 6 plays.
Six.
And you're up for the Rookie of the Year with someone from, I believe, the Marshall Manic.
Montreal, right. Thompson, you're saying. I guess the voting's going to come out in a couple weeks, so we'll see what happens then.
Okay, so how was your first year in the North American Soccer League? What were you expecting, and what did come out about it?
Well, I tell you, it was a very exciting year for me. You know, I was looking forward to it all my life, and finally I made it. I went out there with the attitude to work hard and, you know, not say much and let the other players of my team help me out a lot and let the coaches help me out and just listen. And I thought I did that. I gave 110% on the field, and everything worked out well. It was pretty much what I expected.
Now, how many games in the season was that?
32 regular season games.
And how did you find the traveling on the road?
Well, that was a little monotonous, but you have to do it, and you have to like it, you know, to be in the league. If you don't like traveling, then you're in trouble.
Did you feel any extra added pressure being the number 1 pick in the country, plus being the Herman Trophy winner, and plus being on all the journals all over the place, and the press probably following you all over?
Well, yeah, I felt a little added pressure. I think that, you know, it comes to my advantage. I like playing under pressure and being under pressure. So, you know, I like that. I think it did add a little pressure, but, you know, I enjoyed being under pressure, and it was good, I thought.
And speaking about the press, I'm sure you had a little more of press behind you than you would around here in the Storrs area.
Well, I tell you, the press here is very good, too, but in Tulsa, they have a very good soccer community, a good soccer town, a good backing by the people, and it was really good. It was the press really covered Tulsa Roughnecks really well.
Now, when do you start the indoor season?
We'll start December 1st. I'll stay here to about September 27th. Go home for about 3 weeks, and then train for 2 or 3 weeks there in Tulsa. Then we're going on tour to England, Scotland, Ireland for 3 weeks.
That sounds good. And
then we'll come back, train, and then start indoor around December 1st or so.
How does the indoor season look for your team?
Well, it looks pretty good. We did well last year, just missing the playoffs by one game, and we have 2 or 3 really good players, small players that are good for indoor. So we should have a good team.
Okay, now you come back to the Storrs area. This is probably one of your first couple times visiting since the season's over, and
right.
And you're pretty well known here. What do you think about the Connecticut team today?
Well, I think they're playing pretty well. I think they just let up there the last 5 minutes. What would they score the goal at St. Louis? What was the time on that? Do you know?
The time on the goal was 42:53, so it's 2:07.
2.5 minutes. I think they let up a little there. I think both goals were good goals. I think Connecticut had a couple chances that if they had made it 2-0, it would have put them away. But again, we didn't put them away, and they came back. So it's a tie game now. But I think both teams are playing all right. I think Connecticut's playing more aggressive than St. Louis, so I think that's giving them an edge. But overall, I think it's a good game, and I'm looking forward to the second half. It's good to be a spectator at one of these games.
That's what I was going to ask you. For the first time in 4 years, you're not in a University of Connecticut soccer uniform.
That's right. I'm a spectator.
And it feels good, I see.
It sure does. It's all right. It's good to be back.
It's good to be back here.
People in Storrs.
And how's your brother doing now? Of course, we know he's injured.
Right, he's doing fine. His ankle's still a little bit sore. He might get some action today, but he hasn't trained too much. He hurt it in the National Sports Festival, playing for the East Olympic team, and it hasn't quite healed yet. But he should be totally fit for Sunday.
Sounds good to me. Thank you very much, Joe, for being our halftime guest. We know you have to get on the move. You're a very popular person in the area. And thank you once again.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck in the future.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Boy, pass it deep into John Hayes. It's going to go right next to the line. It's controlled by the Huskies. And the Huskies saved themselves a goal kick by keeping the ball in play. 9 minutes and 5 seconds to go here in the first of 2 10-minute overtimes. The game is tied after regulation by a score of 3-3. This is Harold Darak along with Mark Boudreau. You're listening to WHUS Storrs, Connecticut, the first of hopefully exciting 38-game season. And this first one is Dilly. Maybe the other 37 will be just as good, and we'll be all set. We'll have a big audience. Charlie McSpirit with the ball on the right side. Gets it back to Jimmy Renahan. Renahan in the penalty box, or in the penalty area. I'm talking about hockey. And he allows the ball on the right side over to McSpirit. McSpirit trying to start something up for the Huskies. These fans are going to have to start going. They're going to have to get these Huskies adrenaline moving. And right now, McSpirit with a give and go from Maloney. McSpirit gets it back, and Maloney comes up with it and keeps it in play, and McSpirit has it now. McSpirit right in the middle of the field, right side of Maloney, coming up with his Giorsanio. Lob in front of the goal for Cornello, but Baker comes out and makes a nice grasp as the goalie of the St. Louis team keeps his cool, comes out of the box, and makes the play. 8 minutes and 10 seconds to go here in the first of 2 overtimes. This time Baker's going to boot it with his right foot. He doesn't have a very strong foot, and it's set down by Eric Myron. Myron on the left side over to DeBrito. DeBrito trying to get around one man. He's trying to get around O'Mara, and with a little bit of burst of speed, he almost trying to make that Kavanaugh, not O'Mara. Now he's on the left side. A lob in front of the goal goes over the goal, unfortunately for the Huskies. And the St. Louis team will have a goal kick.
They have the right idea on both plays. The first time, Giorsanio with the chip. The second time, Pedro DeBrito. I get it. I with the chip. Both times to Cornello in the middle, and both times just a little bit too far. But if they get it to connect, I think Baker's going to have a hard time dealing with it.
The goal kick's going to go right out of bounds, and this time Tim Maisley is going to take the ball and have a throw-in right in front of the Connecticut bench. Pedro DeBrito getting pushed from behind, and they're not going to call it. Instead, they're going to call the ball out of bounds. Last touch by DeBrito, and a throw-in by Jim Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh passes over to Daryl Duran. Duran holding the ball. He is deep in his own territory. He's trying to find some daylight within the spots of the Connecticut defense. Pass to the left side. It's going to go over to teammate Danny Weaver. Weaver is also a freshman. He comes out of Dubourg High School in St. Louis, Missouri. Every single one of these players come from St. Louis, Missouri, except Dave Fernandez, who played high school ball with Tony Pierce at Granite City, Illinois, at Granite City South. St. Louis controlling the ball right into the chest of Graziano Cornello, but they're going to call, I believe, a handball, and that will go to the possession, make that obstruction, and they're going to give the possession over to the St. Louis team on the far sideline. And that ball goes right up past stolen by Joe Morrone, instead stolen by Charlie McSpirit. McSpirit up to Pedro DeBrito, left side over to Carlos. Carlos has 1 assist so far today. He gets the ball around one person. He tries to get it to Tim Maisley, and it's picked off by Mike O'Mara. And O'Mara settles the ball down. O'Mara over to teammate Daryl Duran. Duran holding the ball with his right foot, trying to move up very slowly, looking for some sort of opening. Lobs it into the midfield area for Jim Kavanaugh. He misses the ball. Graziano Cornello comes up with it over to Macy, over Carlos. Carlos sends it up front for Jimmy Lyman. Lyman on the left side for Giorsanio. Giorsanio not that fast, and the ball is stolen by Mike Menendez, as the ball is sent all the way back to Pat Baker, the goalie for the St. Louis University Billikens with 6 minutes to go here in the first overtime. Baker looking out with it on the left side. Now kicks the ball, this time much better than the last time. Right to midfield. Jimmy Lyman gets ahead on it, and he keeps control of the ball. Lyman, left side of DeBrito, shoots him a little bit too far, and Jim Cavanaugh in the foot race with DeBrito wins the race and has the ball. Cavanaugh sending it back to Daryl Duran. Most of the action had in the St. Louis half of the field, but the Huskies have not been able to capitalize. Duran on the left side looking for teammate Dan Weaver. Gets to Weaver. Weaver streaking up the left side, trying to go head-to-head with Bill Morrone. Weaver making a nice move around Morrone. Remember, Morrone has been injured. Ball goes up to it and stolen by D'Arsanio. D'Arsanio quickly sends it the other way to Graciano Cornello, and Cornello trying to go over the midfield line, and he does so, sending a pass over to Bill Morrone. Morrone with a 3-on-4 break. Morrone on the right side gets to D'Arsanio. D'Arsanio enters the picture, gets the ball run off from behind by Mark Fredrickson. Ball goes all the way back to Pat Baker, and another Husky offensive attempt is thwarted by the Billikens of St. Louis.
5:02 left. 3-3 the score.
This time it's Jim Cavanaugh controlling the ball. Cavanaugh gets the ball back to Daryl Duran. The Huskies trying to wait for St. Louis to make a mistake. Eddie Lynch getting ready to check back into the game. This time Pat Baker gets the ball right back, and he sends a pass left side over to Danny Weaver. 4:46 remaining here in the first of 2 overtime periods. It's Connecticut 3, St. Louis 3. Exciting action at Gardner Dow Field. The sun is shining, but getting ready to go down over the trees.
A beautiful day here at Gardner Dow. Perfect for soccer. Early rain ended, and the field was not too wet. And a packed house has seen a fantastic soccer game. Hopefully it's going to end the way they want it.
Brubacher steals the ball, gets it over to Carlos up to Charlie McSpirit. The Huskies are on the offensive attack. McSpirit on the right side, getting a pass, trying to get it over to, it looked like to be Jim D'Arsanio, but it's stolen by the St. Louis team, and it goes into the foot of John Hayes. Hayes has scored 2 goals so far for the St. Louis team. Last year he had 13 goals and 1 assist, one of the team leaders. He has 2 so far in this early part of the season. A push by the Huskies, and St. Louis will have a direct kick about 15 to 20 yards out of the penalty area. It's 4 minutes exactly to go in this first overtime period. The Huskies cannot let down defensively right here. Charlie McSpirit's going to have to keep that defense up. He is the sweeper back from Verona, New Jersey, the captain of the Husky team. Joe Fuller with the ball. Fuller looking to get the ball, and he now chips it up. Coming out of the net, it will be Jim Renahan, and he catches the ball. Beautiful grasp, and he makes the play. Getting a little bit more of that confidence back that he had lost in the second half and a little bit throughout the first half. 3 minutes and 33 seconds to go in the first of 2 overtimes.
And when we have our next horn, we'll see Paul Hunter and Elvis Comrie checking back into the lineup. They look for a minute like we're going to see Kieran Crawford, the freshman, but he was sat back down on the bench by Coach Morrone.
Storrs was pushed, and he wanted the foul called, and he pushed a St. Louis player. He's going to have to be very careful. He already has 1 yellow card. Another yellow card will be an automatic ejection. With the red card, he's going to have to settle down if the Huskies want to be at full strength. Right now, the time clock is running. 3:02 to go in the first section. And Connecticut had the ball, and now do have it off the foot of Eric Myron. Myron with the ball, and the give and go from Carlos. He still retains it. He's going down the left side. He's streaking down. He's met by Dan Weaver, trying to get around Weaver as Myron. He's still holding the ball. He passes up to Tim Maisley. Maisley was wide open, but quickly a couple of St. Louis defenders come up to him. He tries to send it in the middle, stolen by Daryl Duran, and Duran sends it up the other way. Ball stolen. This time Bill Morrone has it, sends it back to Jimmy Lyman. And the Huskies have the ball with 2:35 to go here in the first of 2 overtimes. Billy Morrone holding it on the right side, trying to set something up and trying to get the Huskies ball into the net. This time it's Graciano Cornello kicking the ball around. Danny Weaver clears the ball away, and it goes almost over the touchline, but this time it's saved by Mike O'Mara. There's only 3 Huskies back, and O'Mara is leading an attack. O'Mara going head-on-head to Jimmy Lyman. He trips, almost loses the ball, now loses it, and Lyman steals it. And coming up with it is Bill Morrone, but a holding call on St. Louis, and Connecticut will have the ball with a direct kick with 2 minutes and 2 seconds to go.
A lucky break right there. John Hayes on the right side was all alone, and that's where the pass looked like it was going to be heading.
D'Arsanio controlling the ball, trying to get it to Myron, but knocked away by Johnny Hayes. The ball goes out of bounds, last touch by Myron, and a throw-in right in front of the Connecticut bench for the Billikens. Hayes throws the ball in, coming into a St. Louis player. It's Mike O'Mara making a beautiful play around Jimmy Lyman. O'Mara coming straight for the net. Coming up to help is Brubacher, sends it up in front, where it's misplayed by a St. Louis player. I believe it was Allwig. And Connecticut comes over the ball in a lucky break because the Huskies are not playing very good defense on the breakaway. Very poor transition. Huskies send the ball to the St. Louis zone. Cornello with a foot race with Danny Weaver, but the ball goes out of bounds before either of them can get there. And it goes over the touchline. And the ball will be controlled by the St. Louis team. But now the whistle is called, and a man is down on the field. And I believe it's Ulrich.
It is Ulrich, and he's in.
This time by Daryl Duran. 1:21 to go in the first of 2 overtime periods. Duran sends it in front, but this time it's stolen by Carlos. Carlos trying to get it to Brito, and DeBrito does come up with it, almost picked off by Phil. DeBrito right side over to Morrone. Huskies with another scoring opportunity. Morrone right side, getting it into the penalty box. Coming in to Baker. DeBrito shot. Oh, it's high over the crossbar.
The Green's going to be pretty unhappy with that one. He had the time, he had the ball, a nice pass from Billy Maroney, and he got under it. Send it over the net, and that might be the last chance the Huskies will have with 52 seconds and a 3-3 tie. We'll have 10 more minutes after this if you're wondering what's going on here in the overtime.
Macy, D'Arsanio, and Graciano Cornola are out. Comrie, Paul Hunter, and I believe Eddie Lynch are in for the Huskies. 37 seconds to go. Clock is running. Comrie on the left side has the ball stripped up from him by Mike Menendez. 30 seconds to go in the first of 2 overtime periods. Pat Baker now holding the ball. DeBrito trying to find a mistake in Baker's kick, but he cannot do so, and Baker sends it out in front. He goes over the touchline in front of the St. Louis bench with 18 seconds left. Brubacher quickly gets the ball into Comrie. Comrie gives it right to the foot of Dave Fernandez. Fernandez of St. Louis trying to get it deep into the Husky territory. 8 seconds to go in the first of 2 overtime periods. Carlos now in the St. Louis zone. A long kick. 2 seconds. 1. And that's the buzzer. After 1 overtime period at Gardner Downfield in Storrs, Connecticut.
I thought it was your can of deodorant.
It's Connecticut 3 and St. Louis 3. Now the $9:38 to go in the second overtime period. The Huskies are taking the lead.
Harold, with Joe Morrone has seen a godsend. He just right now, as he was down on his knees, he threw the clipboard and both hands in the air. I'd like to measure his blood pressure right then, as the Huskies have gone ahead 4-3 with 9:38 left on that clock in the ballgame.
The Huskies have the lead of 4-3. DeBrito sent that pass in from Joe Morrone, I believe. We're going to have to wait for an official scoring. It was either DeBrito or Comrie. But Morrone made that play with sheer concentration. He settled the ball down, and then he went for the shot. He took his time and let Pat Baker make the move. Morrone again with the ball on the right side. This time he's thrown off the ball by St. Louis. They're going to have to tie this game up to stay in it. This time it's McSpirit settling it down, trying to get away from it. It was trying to get the ball to him. It was John Hayes. McSpirit pushes across the midfield line. He goes out of bounds. It's not touched by St. Louis, so they will have a throw-in.
You couldn't ask for more exciting soccer, and it's right here. 9:13 left in the game. St. Louis controls it.
Morrone got the goal assisted by Elvis Comrie. Comrie 2 points on the day, 1 goal and 1 assist. This time close to the goal is Frederickson. Frederickson is shot on goal, and it's knocked wide to the right. We'll see who his last touch by. I believe it's a goal kick. Last touch by number 11, Mike O'Mara. But St. Louis now putting on some pressure, and Coach Joe Morrone is going to have fits if this game is tied up one more time.
A nice play by Jimmy Lyman to keep that ball from going anywhere near the net as he ran his offensive man to the right of the net, so the Huskies will get a goal kick.
This time it's going to be taken by Jimmy Lyman. Lyman on the left side trying to get the ball to Eddie Lynch. Lynch making a good play, getting around Frederickson, and he sends the ball all the way up to Elvis Comrie. Comrie in a foot race with the ball to Mike Menendez, and there's a whistle on the play, and I don't know what they're calling. They're looking for some indication. I believe it's a push on Elvis Comrie. St. Louis throwing, the ball went out of bounds. I guess it really went right out of bounds. And Pat Baker gets the ball on the throw-in and sends it right towards midfield, where it's headed there by Jimmy Lyman. Another whistle. And a push on St. Louis. Connecticut will have a direct kick. The clock is running with 8:05 left. And let's see the Huskies try to stall. Or they stall before they put the ball in play. This time it's Carlos with the ball. Left side into the corner for Billy Maroney. Maroney being guarded by Danny Weaver. Still holding the ball. Maroney was not supposed to play at all today. He has so far scored the winning goal. Unless, of course, St. Louis does tie the game up, but the Huskies are in very good shape. Pedro DeBrito with the ball. He's being pushed from behind by Jim Cavanaugh. Cavanaugh now steals the ball and sends it up front to Dave Fernandez. Fernandez sends it upfield for nobody, and it's settled down there by Eddie Lynch of the Connecticut Huskies. Pass up front to Elvis Comrie. Comrie now in the St. Louis territory, trying to get around Mike Menendez. He slows down, goes to the left side, passes it over to Carlos. Carlos trying to get the ball out and around from a couple of St. Louis players, and there's a 2-on-2 down there between Comrie and Carlos. And a couple of St. Louis players were going to have a hold by St. Louis and a direct kick for the Connecticut Huskies. Clock running with 7 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the game. And there's a player down. I believe it's Carlos.
And I don't even think you had to look at that one because after the pushing match earlier, I think it's a matter of, it's pretty obvious, in other words, Carlos is going to be the man they're going to go after in any situation like that. Checking in or getting ready to check in will be Tim Maisley. He's waiting to see who he's going to replace.
Let me tell you, like we said a little bit earlier, they're supposed to have a dinner between teams after the game to promote team relationships, but I'm not sure exactly how that dinner is going to go. I think you might need a couple of referees for that to just make sure that Carlos doesn't get kicked into the chicken.
Well, I don't think I'm going to go and attend that one because I don't have my boxing gloves here.
You might need them to be sure. Tim Maisley getting ready to check in. Carlos now up and walking, and it looks like he will be able to stay into the game. The score, Connecticut 4, St. Louis 3. We have seen everything today. What an exciting way to start off the season. We have 37 more contests on the Sound Alternative. Hope you tune into most of those. Connecticut controlling the ball on a direct kick. Pedro DeBrito, left side getting into the corner to Elvis Comrie. The clock is now running again. Comrie falls down but regains control of the ball. Fredrickson's down in the corner with him. Comrie now kicking the ball around. He gets it over to Pedro DeBrito. DeBrito in the corner. And a whistle on the play. They're going to be a push on the Huskies, and the fans can't believe it. The clock is not starting, and that's what they're yelling at. And the timekeeper can be shot right now from most of the Connecticut fans. It's a home crowd team, and it seems like the timekeeper might come from St. Louis. 6:50 to go. This time it's Mike Menendez controlling the ball for St. Louis. He gets it over to Daryl Duran. Duran on the left side to Joe Filla. Filla holding the ball back. A lot of freshmen making their debuts today. Most of them doing a darn good job. Dan Weaver, Jim Cavanaugh, not Dan Weaver, but Jim Cavanaugh, Daryl Duran. And Mike Menendez all doing good jobs. Now a whistle on the play.
Lest we forget Pat Baker.
And Maloney's on the field, which is an automatic yellow card. He's going to have to watch himself. There was a push called on Connecticut, and there's going to be a direct kick between midfield and the penalty area. It's pretty far away. 6:16 to go. The clock is running, and they're trying to hold up this clock, or trying to hold up the play as much as possible, hoping the time runs out on the Billikens. The time is now against the Billikens. Filler with a lob on the right side. It's headed away by Jimmy Lyman. It's going to be kept in there on the chest of number 17, Jim Cavanaugh, kicked away by the Huskies, but the ball is still in playable area. A whistle on the play, a push, and the Huskies will get the direct kick. Carlos quickly sets it into play to Pedro DeBrito. A 2-on-2 break. DeBrito on the left side. Running back is Mike Menendez to make it 2-on-3. But DeBrito slows it down all the way to the corner. He's not even looking to play the offense. I think they're going to go into the corner stall. DeBrito coming down there, he lets the ball go out of bounds, and it's going to be a throw-in, and that's exactly what they're going to do, as DeBrito gets on his knees to play the corner stall over to Elvis Comrie. Comrie holding the ball back and forth. They're going to keep it in the corner, have St. Louis kick it out as much as possible. DeBrito again holding the ball away. It goes to Comrie. Comrie has the ball now. It's right along that line, the far line. A whistle, a push by St. Louis. Connecticut keeps the ball, and they're going to keep that corner stall. 5 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the second overtime. Huskies 4, the Billikens 3. This time it's going to be a direct kick. This time Pedro DeBrito will take it. I'm sure he's not going to take it much too far. Elvis Comrie, as they're still in the corner. And down in the corner with him is Daryl Duran and Dan Weaver, two relatively inexperienced people to be going at it with this stall.
Well, we got a corner.
And I believe we're going to have another throw-in, and this time a throw-in to Elvis Comrie. Comrie gets the ball knocked away, but Carlos gets in the action, and they're going to keep it in the corner. This time Comrie and DeBrito. A push on the Huskies. Obstruction on the Huskies, and this time Connecticut will lose the ball to an indirect kick. Pat Baker has the ball as it's kicked to him from Daryl Duran, and St. Louis will try to start up an attack with 4:33 to go.
I believe that very costly obstruction was Elvis Comrie, who came in between the ball and Pedro and made it impossible for any St. Louis player to get near the ball.
St. Louis makes a costly mistake. He goes over the touchline on a wrong kick, and the Huskies taking their sweet old time with 4:17 to go in the game. And McSpirit throws it right to the head of a St. Louis player. This time it's Hayes and McSpirit going up for it. Myron settling it down, but Fredrickson holding the ball and gives it over to teammate Dave Fernandez. St. Louis controlling the ball. This is Danny Weaver on the right side, trying to get into the Husky territory. Over to Mike O'Mara. O'Mara dribbling up the right side, looking to get the ball around Pedro DeBrito. He sends it over his head where it's settled by Billy Maroney. Maroney on the left side to Jimmy Lyman. Lyman's throwing the ball up, settles it into the St. Louis attack. It's Elvis Comrie now, and I'm sure he'll go straight to the corner. As Comrie are really a 1-on-2, but they're not going for the offense. They want to win this game. Comrie has the ball kicked away from him. This time it's Danny Weaver, kicked out of bounds last, so it'll be a throw-in by the Huskies. And Comrie keeps throwing the ball back into the crowd, really trying to slow this game up. 3:34, and this time Carlos is going to take the throw-in, and he goes onto his knees, and he gets the ball over to Pedro DeBrito. The reason why they go to their knees is to make sure they don't have any violations called on the throw-in. This time the ball goes out of bounds. What are they going to give it to this time? I believe it's going to be another St. Louis push. Connecticut direct kick. Clock running with 3:13. And Harry Keogh, the 15-year coach of the St. Louis Billikens, standing on the sidelines, and there's really nothing he could possibly do. He can't get anything moving with his team. The Huskies have everything all set up. This time a corner kick for the Connecticut team as they're keeping it corner stall.
That's what they were looking for. With 2:57 to go, they were just going to play with it till they got the corner or the throw-in. So now Pat Baker has to direct his troops to get on the corner.
And then, since the ball over the line, they're taking more time to get their substitutes in, and the clock is still running, 2:44 to go. And they're going to do the same thing. They're going to play that corner stall throughout the rest of the game. I know Andy Young, the ex-broadcaster from WHUS, really never liked this corner stall. It's like the four corners in basketball when Dean Smith from North Carolina kept using it.
Well, the one thing you could say is if you put them in a 9x12 room, you know who would win the soccer game because the Huskies can play that corner.
2:22, Huskies still in the corner, and it's a far corner. I really can't even see what's going on back there. DeBrito throws the ball in off the leg of Joe Morrone. Now it's another corner kick, and this time we're getting another substitute in, and D'Arsanio, I'm sure, will take his time getting into the game. He's waiting for the referee to signal him. They're going to keep him out of the game.
If you're wondering what they do in the corner, it's certainly not tea and trumpets.
This time, Elvis Comrie has a whistle on the play and a push by St. Louis. Connecticut will have the direct kick.
Under 2 minutes to play, 1 minute, 54 seconds. UConn 4, St. Louis 3.
Let me take that back there to give Connecticut the push, and St. Louis will have the kick, and they are about 120 yards away from the goal. St. Louis has the ball. Connecticut has to freeze it for another 2 minutes to get their first win of the season. It will be a biggie versus the number 6 team in the country 1 year ago. St. Louis with the ball goes across the midfield, so on the foot of John Hayes. Hayes already has 2 goals today. He had 13 last year. He is the most potential attack for the year. Hayes sends it too far in front over the touchline.
A lucky break for the Huskies. If there's one guy who wants to keep it off his foot, it's Hayes. He wants to put his autograph on number 3, I'm sure.
Connecticut ball. Hunter with it. He sends it up front for Elvis Comrie. Comrie has the ball in the corner. It goes out of bounds. Last touch by St. Louis. Connecticut has the throw in with 1 minute and 6 seconds to go. Comrie is now going to throw the ball on the ground. He's going to let Paul Hunter take it. They are taking their sweet old time. And let me tell you, Huskies are going to try to win this game by using the corner stall. Paul Hunter in the corner now. He's playing around with Elvis Comrie. And Mike Menendez kicks it out of bounds. A whistle to play, a timeout called. And we're going to see a yellow card by, I believe, number 4. Don't make that number 6. Mike Menendez, who is very frustrated right now with the Husky corner stall. He is so frustrated that he pushed a little bit too hard, and he will get himself his first yellow card, the fourth yellow card of the game. 1 on Coach Morrone, 1 on Carlos, 2 on the players of the St. Louis Billikens. Clock is still steady. Now it's running. And there's still the corner, and there's everyone's standing and cheering the Huskies as they're going to get a corner kick.
It's got to be frustrating for that St. Louis team who has played an inspiring game, and at one point it looks like they had it wrapped up.
Looks like it's going to be a goal kick, and we're getting a substitute in the game.
25 seconds to go in this game, and now they're going to stop the clock with 22. Double twos on that clock.
They're not going to stop the clock at 21. They had a substitution.
And that's not the big deal here at 21. The big deal is the number to the left of it, which is a 4.
Connecticut 4, St. Louis 3, 21 seconds to go in the game. In the second overtime period, Eric Myring, probably the standout of the game, now controlling the ball. Gets it off to Elvis Comrie. Clock running down 14 seconds. This one looks like the Huskies are going to have the first win of the season. Myring again, up to Comrie. The ball on the ground. Myring back to Comrie. 7 seconds. 6, 7. No doubt about it. And this one belongs to the